an emergency message to the entire collective of how serious this is. This is an urgent message. Like, this is literally something where spirit is like, you need to look at this. Anything else that transpires this month is irrelevant. Like, I literally kid you not. For us to sit here and lollygag and try to look at, oh, what little happenings are going to go on throughout the course of January, is love coming into your life, all of that is hogwash in comparison to the seriousness of this energy signature that I'm seeing just at the top of the month. It's like the entire work that needs to be done in reference to January, right? All of this work that needs to be done centralizes around one thing, and one thing that stopped your 2021 from being more lit than it was. Hello, Capricorn. Welcome to your January soul session. I had to get my mind together. Welcome to 2022, my friend. And of course, happy solar return, Cappy. It's your birthday season and whatnot or whatever. But anywho, welcome to your January soul session. I am Marlo. If you are new and if you are family, welcome back, my friend, and what's not or whatever. If you're not familiar with what my soul sessions are, they are your spirituality as well as personal development readings in which we look at the energies that you guys may encounter for a given month for the sole purpose of offering you clarity, okay, insight and guidance and all that good stuff and whatnot or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So anywho, we're going to go ahead and jump into these cards. I see we got a little sideways card here. But anywho, like I said, man, welcome to 2022. This is going to be a very interesting year. Those of you who don't know, and I'm going to say this little spiel here because it's important to you, Capricorn, as well as all of the other signs that are going to watch this. Because of course, when we're in a sign season, the reading that comes out for that particular sign also acts as a collective reading because we're all going to be experiencing these energies. But in the event that you didn't know, 2022 is a 6 year, you know, I'm not going to go into a deep spiel about that. I'll probably do that in another video. But this is a very interesting year, man. You know, a lot about balancing, you know, the logic and the intuition and all that good stuff. But anywho, enough about that. Let's hop into these cards. So the first card we have is the 7. Okay, come on, autofocus. It's a new year. Thank you. We have the 7 of Pentacles. So there's an element of you guys coming into 2022 in the month of January, because we're looking at this as the cusp of leaving out of December and coming into January, but you guys are in a period of waiting. And of course, I get the vibe with this that it's something you guys are cultivating, actively cultivating is how it is. I want to say that. So this could be some sort of project, whether it's for work, it's a personal passion project. This could also be in reference to your own personal development, but it's you guys kind of just waiting to see things come into fruition. So it's kind of leaving out of December and coming into January in an energy of pause, if you will. You know, there's a little bit of vibes there of kind of watching a pot boil, but I can't ignore this vibe with this. This is interesting. I can't ignore this vibe with this where I feel what you guys are focusing on, you're focusing in the wrong direction. How can I say this? It's focusing in the wrong direction in the sense that whatever it is that you guys are working on, I don't even know how to put this into words, Capricorn. It's like I'm seeing it in my third eye and I'm like, how the hell do I say that? It's like, good Lord, how can I verbalize this? There's this contrast between what you guys are working on, and it's almost like you looking at the face value of it. And it's kind of like, bear with me, Capricorn, okay? It's kind of like if you were to think of like a tree, right? That you have in your backyard. And this tree isn't bearing fruit. And this isn't going to follow any type of like real logic, but just follow me. But it's not bearing any type of fruit, and you're kind of staring at it because you're looking at the time frame. So you're like, okay, you know, it's spring and fruit should be coming from this tree, but it's not. And it hasn't since last year, because like last spring you stood in front of the tree waiting for fruit to come and it didn't. And you kind of tinkered with some stuff and still kind of waited there and nothing happened. So you're fixated on the tree, right? But what you really need to be looking at is the roots of the tree. Because what I'm intuiting about this is this proverbial tree that we're talking about, symbolic of whatever this is in your life. The roots have died of the tree. So the tree is dead. So we don't know how this tree's still standing, right? But this sucker is still standing. And the reason for it not bearing fruit has nothing to do with you or anything that you're doing. It's just the roots have died. But you're so fixated on, like, that's why I say it's like you're focusing on the wrong thing. You're so fixated on the tree, waiting for it to bear fruit, that you've never taken a step back, like taken all of the context clues of the fact that last year in spring, no fruit came. You tried, you know, putting fertilizer on the ground. You tried watering it. You know, you tried to, you know, give it more sunlight, whatever. You tried all of this stuff and it didn't work last year. So you're coming into the new year, proverbially speaking. It's spring again, hypothetically, because we know it's still winter, but it's spring again. Well, oh, okay, I just got corrected. I love how spirit comes through like that. It's not that it's spring again, because spirit is bringing this up in January. Spirit is bringing this up in January because spirit does not intend for you all to go all the way until spring, which would be a full calendar year from last spring. And I don't know, man, maybe there's some relevance in that as far as like March of last year. If something for you guys, you know, in reference to this happened in March of 2021. But the reason why this message is coming out like this now is because spirit is trying to prevent you from making the same mistake that you made last year. So what this is speaking to, Capricorn, is a dead situation. So you're focusing on the tree and the tree not bearing fruit, but you're internalizing why your proverbial tree isn't bearing fruit, thinking it has something to do with your green thumb or your agriculture skills, if you will, right? And it has absolutely nothing to do with your ability to tend to this tree. It's the fact that the tree has died. But because you're so focused on this lack of fruit and lack within you of you not being able to get it to bear fruit, that you haven't taken your attention away from the branches and things on the tree to look at the ground and realize that the roots are dead. I hope that that makes sense. So this is speaking to a situation in Capricorn's life that is dead, right? It's like the reason why there's no growth, there's no expansion, there's no bounty from this particular situation, is because it's been dead since March of last year. The fact that fruit didn't come in March of 2021 was your sign that whatever this is speaking to is, you know, dead on arrival, if that's making sense. And if this message didn't come out now with you guys coming into the new year, which makes total sense for me, because now is the time, especially with us still being in the retrograde, Venus retrograde in Lord. And then we going into Mercury retrograde, y'all. Look, let me tell y'all, January is going to be an interesting month, but we're going into Mercury retrograde in Aquarius on the 14th of January. And Venus is going to be in retrograde up until the 29th of January, but you're still going to be in that post-retro shade up until March, believe it or not. But I feel this is coming out because Spirit is trying to prevent you guys from making the same mistake again. So this is something that's literally standing in your path, Capricorn. And this is interesting, y'all. Mind you, I'm getting all this from one card, y'all. Look, I told y'all 2022 is just going to be a very interesting year. I'm getting all of this from one freaking card. But literally, and this is like your theme for this month, it's you guys coming to this realization within yourself that whatever this situation is, it's something that has long since been dead, and there's a need to come to a place of acceptance about it, because you could have been planted another tree. You could have been planted about 11 other trees, right? But it's you focusing on something that is well past its expiration date, and there's literally no hope for whatever this particular thing is. Now, what are we speaking about specifically? I don't know, but whatever it is, it's something that's very 3D-ish, meaning that this is speaking to a job. It's speaking to your approach to how you're managing your finances. It's speaking to a relationship with friends, family, romantic partners, what have you, and it's not beating a dead horse, because it's not like Seven of Pentacles isn't an active card. It's a card of waiting. And it reminds me of a scenario I often use a lot in therapy with relationships, like when people are in less than stellar relationships. And it's the equivalent of you finding yourself, like you being thirsty, right? Like you've been on this journey or you're lost in the woods and you're thirsty, right? Like you ran out of water and you come to this well, right? And there's a sign on the well that says, don't bother looking for water. This well has been bone dry for the last 200 years, right? And it's you reading that sign and you sitting next to that well and you taking the bucket and lowering it down, bringing it back up and it coming back empty. And then you wait until the next day. And then you lower the bucket down and you continue this for days. But as soon as you happened upon this well, the sign made it very clear what the situation was. There hasn't been water in this well for the last 200 years. So what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for a miracle? Do you hope just because you are thirsty that somehow, Spirit is going to have the stars align on your behalf and this well that's been dry is suddenly going to replenish itself with, fresh, crisp water, and like, what do you think is going to happen? So what you would really want to do is to accept, okay, this is a no-go, and find another option to get water. Otherwise, you will literally sit on the side of that well until you perish, of dehydration and things of the sort, So this is all about coming to a realization about this situation. However, I also have to stress this isn't any new information that my Capricorns who resonate with this isn't something you don't know already, because very clearly this dates back to 2021. This is something that you knew in 2021 that you weren't ready to accept. And I'm sticking with March, man. But this is something in 2021 in March, in that springtime, that you already knew. And I'm even hearing that for some of y'all, this is something you knew. And this is almost, wow, Capricorn, this is lit. This is almost like history repeating itself. Because what Spirit just showed me, it's not even just March. You guys came into 2021 in this same space. Like coming into 2021, you knew that whatever this is that we're talking about was dead in the water. But, and this is something I can say as a therapist, I totally understand. It was so new to you that you weren't ready to accept it. And that's normal. Like a lot of times when things happen in our lives, like if, you know, whether it's a breakup or some type of betrayal, backstabbed by a friend, getting passed up for a promotion, house in foreclosure, car repossession, it could be anything like that. When we receive shocking news like this of an impending loss, even if it's a loss of a loved one, right? We kind of go into this disassociative state, you know, where we're like, this can't be happening, you know, like denial, like this cannot be happening, and it's hard to process. So we'll kind of just go along and pretend as if this thing is not happening because we're not yet ready to accept it, right? So it's understandable coming into 2021 with you guys feeling this way. However, you have been in that same stagnant energy since 2022. I mean, since 2020 became 2021, remained in it, still hoping for this thing to do something up until now. And now it's you guys being called out on it because, and I'm telling you guys, y'all, this year is an amazing year for the entire collective. Any person who is in alignment, spiritually aware, not saying that you got to be extra woke or anything, but anyone who is on a spiritual journey, right? That's open to a connection with the all that is, you know what I'm saying? This year is the year where the last, oh wait, how does that thing go? Those who have been last will be first, and those who are first will be last. Those of you, little side note, this is so interesting, a Capricorn, all of this is happening, literally one card. I'm getting to the next one in a second. But those of you, and I've said this on the network, those of you who've been with me for some time enough to know the whole analogy of the, well, not analogy, but the vision that I saw of our little black cloak person that is coming up again. I told y'all, I just stopped saying, like, every year I thought that this was it with oh dude, it's never been. I can't even say that this year is going to be the end of it. However, one download I've gotten in reference to that vision that I've never gotten before was that wheel turning. I've never got insight into when that wheel was going to turn. And this year, if you're a new person, just quick little thing, I had a vision years ago, black cloak figure. There was like this whole wheel thing, you know, waiting for, you know, this whole divine timing switch thing to happen. I'll link the video below. But anywho, but no one knew, me nor the black cloak person knew when that wheel was going to turn, right? The dynamics of this is why this is so important. The North Node and the South Node are shifting into Taurus and Scorpio in 2022. I'm a Taurus. Hi, nice to meet you. And my opposite sign, of course, would be Scorpio. So if you were to use this as like a dichotomy, it's like that's the stage that we're playing on this year. If you look at all of the stuff I've said throughout the course of 2021 of this whole false idol type of thing, all of us are being delivered from the chains that have bind us up to this point, because that wheel is turning. And now everyone who has been at the bottom of the wheel, AKA, you know, I have no kingdom, it's time for these people to come to the fore and to reign and to receive the blessings that are intended for you, right? So I say all of this for you, Capricorn, specifically, right? You guys are supposed to step into your bounty this year, right? That's what's ordained to happen for you. However, like I've been forewarning everyone throughout the course of 2021, when Saturn went direct in 2021 in October, right? Anything that karmically was holding us hostage in a situation, that energy was removed. So that means you've been in prison up until October of 2021. And suddenly one day, the prison door just opened, right? You have the choice at this point to either walk out of that prison or to remain there. And that's what I was forewarning everyone about in the last quarter of 2021. If anything that you've experienced in your life up until October of 2021 persisted past that point, it has nothing to do with any type of malevolent energetic force, because you're free to go. The only way that it could continue past that point is if you elected to hold yourself hostage to it, right? Via your thoughts and your behaviors, right? This is coming out. And like I said, why I feel I'm intuiting so much from one card is because Spirit is trying to drive a point home here. I have literally given you a whole reading on one card, right? Because this is an important theme of this month, and not just this month, but literally this entire year. What you do this month with all of these energetic powers that are in service to you, Capricorn, because it is your solar return. So this means this is your very own, New Year's Eve on top of our, Gregorian calendars, New Year's Eve. And then you got another little, woo-woo spiritual people, New Year's Eve in March. You have so much energy that is in service to you coming into this year that is preordained to be in service to you. So this is like a shake and a wake-up call of Spirit saying, hey, the only thing that is standing between you and everything that Spirit has for you, which I can assure you far surpasses whatever this little dead tree is that you're looking at, child. I don't know what this is in your life, hun, but I can tell you flat out, this ain't no 10 of Pentacle tree. You feel what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. But it's Spirit bringing to your attention that the only thing that is standing between you and your destiny is this dead tree. And it's a need for you to look away, right? And set yourself free, right? Now, the next card that you guys have is the 5 of Cups. And if you don't know, whenever cards come out sideways, and I apologize for how I sound, I was literally sick for the entire last part of December. Whenever cards come out sideways, I always look at this as a sign of free will, right? Meaning that both interpretations apply. And whether this comes out to be the 5 of Cups in the reverse, or this comes out to be the 5 of Cups upright, is totally contingent upon the decisions made by, of course, you, Capricorn, right? So what this is saying to me is, once again, everything that I explained with this 7 of Pentacles, we're talking about grief and loss with the 5 of Cups, right? Grief and loss is something every human being on planet Earth will experience at some point or another in their lifespan. And it's a healthy part of our journey to grieve. However, we want to make sure that it is it's a temporary time in which we grieve. We don't want to be grief stricken to where this energy becomes imbalanced, which would be the 5 of Cups in the reverse, which means that we are imprisoned to disappointments and losses of our past. Meaning, again, 7 of Pentacles, the dead tree is something that you lost, or something that didn't work out, or some way that you were disappointed. And it's an inability to see past that wound, that heartbreak, that disappointment. So one's life becomes consumed and in reflection of this loss that stagnates you, right? This is an energy of death. It's a lack thereof of movement forward, right? But even when there's things in our lives that do go awry, the thing that's important to note is, yes, it is important to allow yourself to grieve, because you're human. We all do. It's like you're sad, you're disappointed. Dang, I really wish this would have turned out different. You know what I mean? But then there comes a time where one now has to integrate this loss into their experience, because do I really feel at this point, especially with my mentee, who is now a new member of my staff, who is our grief doula at the sanctuary. I've learned so much from her in reference to the grieving process, because that's her specialty. And grief, especially if it's a loss of a loved one, that's not something that you just get over. It's not something that you just heal. It's something you experience that now becomes a part of you, which calls for an integration, right? Which means that we spend our time grieving that loss because we're human and we have to go through those stages of grief, you know? But once we come to that place of acceptance that, yes, this loss has happened, right? Yes, this is period at the end of the sentence. It now becomes a new journey of you re-identifying your personhood in accordance with this loss, but it doesn't define who you are. It's not a, death sentence where you're never going to be happy again. Things are never, ever going to work out again, lest you choose for it to be that way. But that experience was not designed for it to be that way. We can choose for it to be that way, but that's not what it's ordained to do, right? And I say, even in a sense, when it comes to grief and loss, it's one of those things. If it's the loss of a loved one, you can't necessarily say there's a lesson in that, because there isn't always a lesson in that. Sometimes it's just the experience of that person you love passed away. And sometimes we may never know the why, it happened to you and not to someone else, but that's neither here nor there, right? The thing that can become important with this, and again, speaking to my staff member, is a great lesson that she learned through grief is teaching others who are going through it. So her using her pain and turning it into purpose. You feel what I'm saying? And I feel that's what Spirit is asking you all to do. There's a need to put a period at the end of the sentence of this loss or disappointment, betrayal, or, something that didn't pan out the way that you desired, because this is literally holding you hostage. This is literally holding you hostage to a future that is ordained for you guys. Because same old stuff with this card. You see the two little cups behind him. And the Two of Cups is speaking to something that's in harmony, something that's in alignment, something that's balanced, something that's attuned with both, yin, yang, like masculine, feminine aspects that are attuned with logic and intuition, spirituality, and 3D. And this thing, it happened, it changed you. It's an experience that you've gone through. If it's not a loss of a loved one, it's something that has a lesson in it, right? But it's an experience that you went through that you have to give yourself time to grieve, but it's to remember that the sun rises again, right? And there's a need to move forward. So with this Capricorn, what I'm seeing with this is you guys kind of being imprisoned to a past that no longer exists. And the only reason why it's staying alive is because Capricorn has yet to make the decision, has yet to make the choice to fully accept that this has transpired and to walk away from it. You know what I mean? It's almost keeping a situation that's been long since dead on life support, if that's making sense. Now, the deeper implications as to why it is that that's happening, I feel that's going to be different for each of you, but this is the call of the day, my friend. The next card that you guys have is the Four of Swords. Interesting. Then we have the Two of Swords. So we're coming into our good old mental energy here. So yeah, man, this is all speaking to a perspective here, Cap. When it comes to whatever this is you guys went through in 2020 or realized happened or what have you, it's It's literally a very static energy. And it's almost with this Four of Swords, I'm seeing it like you guys having a perspective. I can't say all Capricorns, whoever resonates with this, is you guys having this perspective of, and dude, this is all like foretelling. This is, excuse me, you guys having this perspective and desire for transformation. It's like, because I feel like where you guys are, you don't want to be here, right? You want to move forward, but it's not, see, and this is so interesting to me where it's like you want to progress, but it's like it not seeing that it's not anyone else that's keeping you here. So if I go back to this prison analogy, the door is unlocked and it's open. And you see that the door is open, but it's like a mental conditioning. So dude, this is getting kind of deep, Capricorn, because this is bringing me to like what happens with baby elephants that are in zoos, right? Baby elephants that are in zoos, when they're little babies, they chain them to this post in the ground, right? And they measure it in circumference to what, you know, that typical area is going to be that elephants walk in a zoo. Because if you notice at most zoos, it's this very high platform that elephants are on. And then there's like this little moat that goes around it. So from little bitty, they have this chain. So what happens is, as this baby elephant tries to run a certain distance, it's yanked back by the chain. And over time, they're trained or conditioned, right? That you can only walk in this circumference. Like this is only as far as you can go. So as this elephant starts to grow, when it gets bigger, they take the chain off of the baby elephant's ankle, right? And you've never seen elephants have a stampede as huge as they are to ever run off of the little platform that they have them on in zoos. Why is that? Because their mind is trained. And every single one of those elephants' mind, they only have, so say if like the circumference is like, 300 feet, right? They know I can only walk this far before that chain is going to tug me again. So there's never, ever a thought to step outside of that, 300 feet circumference, right? Now, that's what I'm seeing for you all, because with this Four of Swords, I'm seeing like self-care or personal development or something along those lines, where it's like, meditation or yoga or, some type of, cognitive behavioral mind mapping kind of work you guys are doing or intend to start in the beginning part of January, or this is like an intention you guys have set of what it is that you want to do for the year. But the thing that I'm seeing in this card also is, if this energy is still carried with you, because this is an energy signature that's marrying you to the past, right? Like that chain on the baby elephant's ankle. And now Capricorn is an adult elephant. And you'll be wondering, why is it that no matter how hard I'm trying or what I'm doing, I just can't seem to get past this point? And the reason is that your mind is binded, in the sense that something once upon a time in the form of a post in the ground and a chain on your ankle told you you can't, pass go. Like this is as far as you can go. It's like a glass ceiling. This is as far as you can go in life. This is, the amount of money that you can make. This is the only type of people that are going to date you. This is the only kind of job you can have. This is the only level of education you'll ever be able to acquire, right? And because that was pounded into you for so long, it has now become a core belief. And the thing I just heard was generational curse. So for some of y'all, child, this is literally speaking to generational curses. So this could be something lineage-wise in your family that was a core belief for them, that has been transposed onto you. And child, look, let me tell you something. Those of y'all who are on the network, if you're not on the network, child, go ahead on and join the network, because the shadow work course started. And this is literally a section. I talk about this in a whole section in the shadow work course. It's like in section 2, where I go into this in detail of how to eradicate stuff like this, because this is a mind binding that's a true belief. And a person who's standing outside of you would look at you and be perplexed, like, how do you not see that like all of this that you have, or all of this that you could accomplish, or all of this that you could achieve? But the perspective, the mental perspective based on what one has been through, and this thing that you're carrying with you that you don't know that you can release, you feel what I'm saying, is keeping you in prison. So despite any type of work that you would be doing, if you never do the work in reference to this, it's not going to help anything. It's like the same thing if if this was the issue, right? And you came into therapy and you said that you were coming into therapy because you want to, work on your shyness in reference to public speaking and networking, right? And it's like, cool, your therapist will work with you on that. And I mean, it wouldn't be me, child, because look, I'm going to assess you to death regardless, but that's neither here nor there. But not everyone does that. If a therapist is solution focused and you're coming in with this particular presenting problem, then that's where the work is going to centralize around. They're not going to think to do a whole background like adverse childhood experiences, genogram, like let's dive real deep and find out about the relationship between parents and blah, 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 because that's not what you're in here for. You're in here for shyness with networking and public speaking. You feel what I'm saying? So this would be the equivalent of that. So it could be a person who does things like this and could say, oh, I've been in therapy, for like 5 years. You know what I'm saying? And a person being like, that's interesting, right? Because it's going to therapy for these little things, like little annoyances, like little stuff like that, but never really dealing with the root. And that's what I'm seeing. It's like staying surface level and not really diving deep. So it's a very solution focused type of thing. Like, oh, this is my problem. I'm shy. I have trouble networking. In order for me to have this bountiful abundance that I want in my life, it has nothing to do with any of this other stuff. It's just the fact I need to get more comfortable networking. So I'm going to work on that. And then once you fix that, then it's something else. So it's like picking little things, but it's all staying on the surface level. And what's being called for you all is a deep dive. It's like eradicating this root. It's getting to the root of the issue and removing this, root of discord, right? So that you can fully heal, fully open up, fully see what all of the potential that you have, right? And then move forward. You feel what I'm saying? So the next card you guys have is the Two of Swords. And with this dude, it's the same thing. This is all speaking to a stagnancy. It's an inability to align with your true authentic self, right? Like your higher self, because it's being trapped and binded by your mind. It's not being able to see, the forest for the trees, going back to our tree reference, is not being able to see that, because the only thing you're seeing is this, Capricorn. Like, this is your truth. This isn't the truth, but this is your truth and this is your reality. This is the lens through which you are viewing life through. And it reminds me even of what I said to Cancer a few months ago. It's like your eyes being infected and like crusty and pussy and leaky to where they're swollen halfway shut, and being, oblivious to the fact that you have an eye infection. You knew it was getting bad, but you got so used to looking at things that way that now it's become your new normal. and your vision is skewed. And you're so convinced that what you're seeing is what you're seeing. And what I told them was, it's like you're arguing with friends because your friends are like, dog, that's not a boat, that's a car. And you're like, I know what I see, it's a boat. And everybody looking like, do they not know the little crusty eye thing they got going on? Like, dude, and it's like being so self-assured in that, you know, and that takes us into what I talked to Scorpio about in December, which is the spirit of Leviathan. That's an unteachable spirit. Like, this is something that sabotages people's destinies. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, Capricorn, this is fascinating for me of how this is happening, because we're 4 cards in. And this doesn't even feel like an atypical reading. And I guess it's that way for a reason, because before I sat down to record this, I was thinking to myself, I said, man, I kind of want to do a collective message, you know? And I was like, well, I said, let me, not trump on my Cappies. I was like, it's only right for me to record their soul session first before I do anything that's like, not within the line of things, right? And looking at how this is coming out, this feels like how I would typically do like a free read, you know what I mean? Like, meaning like free energy read, like a free flow with the spread and things of the sort. And that's what this is feeling like to me. And honestly, Cap, I feel the reason why this reading is coming out like this is because this is an urgent message. Like, this is literally something where spirit is like, you need to look at this. Anything else that transpires this month is irrelevant. Like, I literally kid you not. For us to sit here and lollygag and try to look at, what little happenings are going to go on throughout the course of January, is love coming into your life, all of that is hogwash in comparison to the seriousness of this energy signature that I'm seeing just at the top of the month. It's like the entire work that needs to be done in reference to January, right? All of this work that needs to be done centralizes around one thing, and one thing that stopped your 2021 from being more lit than it was. And it's like, this is something where it's, and I'm going to say it this way, but I don't mean it this way literally, but this is something where it's like 911 emergency life or death type of thing. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and not saying life or death meaning that you might die. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that this is imperative, because what I know from what I've shared with my tribe, with this download that I got about December into this year, is not anything to play with, dude. It's literally, we have the power to submit our own fate. If you were to put it in the dynamic of like being left behind, it's like that is a true possibility, because it's almost as if spirit is leaving all of us to our own devices. So this isn't a punishment. It isn't a divine judgment. It's like, if in this day and age, with all of the resources that you have available to you, right? In the day and age where, having a therapist is the equivalent of what it was in the early 2000s to have a Yorkie in your purse. You feel what I'm saying? To have so many people on a platform like YouTube that are spiritually attuned and aware, that are speaking light and life into you. From gurus to teachers to therapists, a myriad of different things, to have access to things like Amazon, countless books, so many courses online, to have so many things that are available to us in this day and age and the technology that we live in. It's inexcusable for a person to ever say that there's no hope, there's no help, or you're stuck or damaged beyond repair. That is not an excuse that can be used anymore. You feel what I'm saying? Like my parents back in the day when all they had was Oprah, I'd have heard them out. If I was a therapist back then and not an adolescent, you know, I'd have been like, you're right. All we got is Oprah. That's all we got. But that is not the case for you, right? So there's hope for whatever this is. There's help for whatever this is. But there's a need for you to make a decision. This has nothing to do with hexes, juju, you know what I'm saying? It's not the universe is conspiring against you. God hates you, karma, like it's literally none of those things. This is speaking to a Capricorn person, if you resonate with this. This is speaking to a Capricorn person who is standing in their own way. And for me, this is something special to me because I've seen something like this happen a couple of times in my career. I've never had the opportunity to really dive deep into it, but it's something that perplexes even me, where it's the thought of, you know, how, you know, if a person is being shown this in so many facets, it only leaves it to a refusal to accept it. But why that's dangerous is because of this shift that's happening now, dude. And this shift that we're going through, this is a paradigm shift that none of us alive, no one who has lived prior to us, this has not been seen by humanity yet. This whole paradigm shift we're going through, this is so serious, dude. But we have the power to seal our own fate, right? But technically it would be your fate already being sealed, right? Because it's showing how one ultimately ended up in this reprobate like stagnation. It's a choice that kept one there. It's not that an opportunity wasn't offered. So there would be no need for a God to judge a person because the person has already judged themselves. You feel what I'm saying? So that's the seriousness of this energy that I'm seeing, Capricorn. Like I said, with this coming out sideways, this is always a sign of free will for me. So how it is that this month pans out, how it is that this year pans out is entirely up to you. Because there's nothing else to be done. Like there's no one coming to save you. It's a requirement for you to save yourself. And I'm telling you that what this is something that is fixable. This is something that's treatable. This is something that's healable, right? But it's the equivalent of a person playing hide and seek with themselves. It's I don't want to accept that this is what it is. It has to be something else, right? It has to be someone else, projection. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I am working on myself, but deluding oneself with the personal work. You see what I'm saying? This is a call to get to the root of the issue, you know? And if that isn't dealt with, then your life will become a mirror reflection of this stagnation. You feel me? This is interesting, Cap. I'm flabbergasted by this, but I mean, I'm telling you, dude, the reason why we're doing that that shadow work course on the network is for things such as this, because the energetic recipe is opportune to do work like this. Venus is retrograde in Capricorn, by the way, just saying, you know, it's prime pickings for work like this. And the universe is in support of you doing work like this now, but it's all about your choice. Do you want different? I know you do. I clearly see that. But are you willing to do the true work? The true work is the shadow work. You feel me? Like, if we were to put this in tarot terminology, those of y'all who read Motherfuck Twin Flames, y'all know this already. If we were to put this in tarot terminology, the devil card being representative of Capricorn, right? The Lovers card being representative of Gemini, right? The Lovers card in the Devil card are identical. In traditional Rider-Waite, it's the same card, showing you light and shadow aspects. One of Adam and Eve in the garden and liberated and things of the sort. And then on the other one, they are in bondage. If you look at the number of the Lovers card, it's number 6. You look at the number of the Devil card, it's number 15. If you were to reduce that numerologically, 1 + 5 is 6. Brings us back to the Lovers. So what this says to me, so the same with this dyad between Taurus, and Scorpio. It's similar to that, because, Gemini is not your opposite sign. But similar to that didactic nature of those light and shadow aspects, right? Meaning one thing and 2 manifestations, like the law of polarity, Hermetic principle, shout out to you, Hermes Trismegistus. Anyway, but you have there not being this or that or an other. Everything is one thing, but it's 2 polars of that one thing, right? So if you're looking at this Devil card and you're looking at this Lovers card as 2 polarities of each other, but yet and still the same thing, meaning the human experience, the Likert scale is skewed over to the Devil energy, right? And what's being asked of you is to transcend the timeline, because the false piety, right, is in the Lovers. You feel what I'm saying? In a superficial sense of, a utopian society and things of the sort, right? Because that within itself was a prison, because even though, Adam and Eve had free will within the garden except to eat from that one tree, they weren't truly liberated because they did not choose to be in Eden. They were created there. They didn't choose. And Eden is, of course, a state of consciousness, right? It's the heaven on earth all of us could tap into anytime during the day. You feel what I'm saying? And because they didn't choose to be there, it's orchestrating their own demise and putting themselves into bondage, AKA the Devil card, right? In hopes of them breaking free, being in their is not, because we can't respect the is until we're in the absence of it. When we're in the absence of what is, now we can see the value of it. That's the whole trick that all of humanity has been playing on themselves since the beginning of time. It's the simple fact of, peace, perfection, bounty, these things, but it's more or less a desire to earn it. But what happens is people descend into this 3D realm and they get trapped in that Devil card energy and think that that's all that there is, forgetting there's still a life above ground. You orchestrated this whole thing, right? Because you wanted to choose, right? But it's almost being sucked into that vortex of darkness. And why I feel that this is so imperative, dude, and why I feel this is coming out like this. Like, this is the collective reading that I wanted to do. Like, why this is coming out like this, dude, is because it's literally an emergency message to the entire collective of how serious this is, of how a person can be almost sucked into that whole is not that was only created for your is, if that makes sense. I hope and pray that that makes sense, child. I really hope it does. But that's literally what I'm seeing. The whole premise of this is for you guys to transcend the timeline, but there's only like one way out, you know? Dog, and this brings me even to, speaking of motherfuck twin flames, the whole analogy that I had in there, the little demon analogy that I had in there. It's like, this is like that. So this is the thing. You have to face your shadow, face your demon, whatever it may be, and fight for your life this month, Capricorn, and this year. Like, this is coming up like that because this is the tall order in order for you, or the big, you know, final showdown, if you will, for you to be able to embrace what's truly for you. You know what I'm saying? It's you warring against this proverbial demon once and for all. This is fascinating, y'all. This is so fascinating. Fleeting, short-lived, quick, and vanishing, like your life and all of our lives. You know, our time here on planet Earth is literally fleeting. But it's embracing that energy of fleetingness, of understanding the temporaryism of existence, and that nothing is forever. Every energetic signature you encounter in your lifespan is supposed to be just this: fleeting, short-lived, just like the weather. You know, it's not to, it rains on Monday and on Friday, you know, it's sunshine, and we're still grieving over the fact that it rained on Monday. It's like, that was temporary. It rained on Monday. They had a whole Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then now we in Friday that it didn't rain. But it's like, we carry these things with us. And something I have continuously told you guys since I've been on YouTube is everything in this realm of 3D is in the process of dying, or it's already dead. When the moment that you bring something into this realm, it starts the clock of it dying. From the moment you were born, from the moment that the cord is cut on any baby, from the moment that they take their first breath of oxygen, a clock starts of them dying. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like, we're learning how to die every day that we're quote unquote alive. You feel what I'm saying? In the bigger scheme of things, our lives are so short. But the moment that you take something into this realm, into matter, it starts to die, because that's what happens here. That's the whole setup. That's the whole program. You feel what I'm saying? And how you bring things into this realm, energetically speaking, is if you went through something 10 years ago that broke your fucking heart, destroyed you, right? And you grieved, but then continued to grieve, never came to a place of acceptance, never got angry and pissed off about it, right? Never like just cried about it. It's just nursing this state of pain and discord and brokenness and disappointment and loss, keeping that fresh. If you do that for years, now you've brought this into matter, because it was supposed to be fleeting and temporary. Sad thing happened. We go through our grieving process. We live to see another day moving forward, integrate this into our experience is the ideal. However, when we choose to internalize this and make it about us, we're bringing it into matter. It's going to continuously become heavier and heavier, more and more dense, and now it's going to become more and more real. When Friedrich Nietzsche said that you stare into the abyss and the abyss stares into you, that is the perfect description of what evil, what demons are, of what human suffering is. It's the fact that dark, or the is not, it's benign. It's an energy. It's just the polarity of what we call light. That's it. And, you know, dark isn't bad. Light isn't good. They're just polarities of the same thing in energy. But humanity having the ability and being created, you know, in the image of your creator, meaning that you are a creator yourself. We misuse the powers and the gifts that we've been given to personify the is not or the dark. That's where evil comes in. You feel what I'm saying? On a grander 5D, you know, all the damn Ds, etheric sense, these two polarities exist, always have, always will, right? But it's humanity that demonized the dark, that peered into the dark so much that their own minds begin to create demons in the form of mindsets and ghosts and ghouls and goblins and all of this stuff. And these are the things, creations of our own mind are what is plaguing us every single day. And it's because we're holding on to things and making them real. And now they're oppressing us because they've come into matter. They're stuck in stagnant, dead energy. And these are the things that we're fighting every day. The whole premise of ascension in the spiritual journey, dude, is spirit legit trying to show us or help us remember that before we got here, we knew this already, right? But we end up becoming prisoners of the playing field that we created ourselves. Like, that's being trapped in the devil energy. It's like you created this game space for you to learn these lessons. And of course, the part of it is you had to come here and forget who you are. But it's like you got here and got lost in this form of your own creation. You know what I'm saying? It's like building a computer program or virtual reality, putting on your headset and getting lost in your own matrix that you built. Like, you built this, you know, and not knowing how to get out of the program that you created yourself. So this is all about like non-attachment and needing to come back to the reality of who you really are and what it is that we're really doing here. You know, every single person that is here right now on planet Earth has already overcome the world. Some of us know that, others of us do not. And this is a call for Capricorns in the whole damn collective, right? This is literally a call, a wake-up call that's letting you guys know, like, this is what we're doing. Like, this is what's happening here. And this is how we are keeping ourselves prisoner. You've long since been free. And I said that in a poem. It's like the chains have long since been broken and laying at your sides. You've been free since the beginning. And it's now time to come into the consciousness of that. You're not at the will of anything. Everything is at the will of you, if that's making sense. So this is all about ascending to a higher state of being light on your feet, right? This is true ascension here. But this is interesting. Capricorn/collective, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, child. Look, most of y'all who are OGs know to look at these as collective readings, but I don't even know how to even begin to title this. I literally might have to do like a introduction disclaimer type of thing or something, but that has been your January soul session. That's interesting. I'm going over to my network and Vimeo, Patreon, YouTube members, all the places that I am, to do you guys extended which is going to be fascinating. And in your extended, we're going to be looking at how these energies play out week by week. So if you're about that life, follow me on over there, my wonderful human. But if not, I still love your freaking face. And I will see you guys sooner than later, my friends.